Joining us now to assess is Harvard Law professor and author of his new book, Get Trump, Alan Dershowitz. Perfect timing for your book, Professor. But this whole idea of them leaking the actual charges that ended up being the real indictment hours prior, and then they're walking back saying we had no idea, we're just playing around testing the system. Number one, do you buy that? And number two, does that somehow help Trump's case, saying that they've already predetermined the outcome of this?
Of course I don't buy it. It was a Freudian leak. It was a way of telling that it really doesn't matter whether the grand jury votes or doesn't vote. It's really the prosecutor who indicts. So there was an indictment. The prosecutor asked for it. She was going to get it. All the grand jury does is rubber stamp 23 chairs moved around by the prosecutor. So actually they performed a public service by making it clear to all of us that you do not take seriously a grand jury indictment. Don't ever say, oh, 23 people considered this and indicted. No, they don't even vote on it before the indictment is issued. It's just the prosecutor's decision. And it's a terrible decision because the indictment itself is awful. It's an act of creativity. It reads to me like an exam answer to a question in law school. How creative can we be? How much can we stretch the statute? Hey, we'll use RICO. Yeah, it was intended for organized crime, but we'll use it for a political campaign. You know what we're going to do? We're going to indict Mark Meadows, even though he only was involved in one phone call, but we're going to make him sit for 3 months through a trial, and maybe his name will be mentioned once. It's an outrageous indictment, and it should be dismissed, but it won't be because it's in Georgia. The only way justice will be gotten is if some of the defendants, and only some of them, can move to have the trial removed to federal court. Trump can do that. Meadows can do that. Giuliani can't do that. In order to move it into federal court, you have to be a federal official at the time of the alleged crime, and the alleged crime has to be within the scope of your duty and authority. In Meadows' case, it's easy. He was listening in on a phone call. That's his job. He's the chief of staff. So he may very well succeed, but we'll wait and see.
Professor, in your very qualified expert opinion, will Trump do jail time because of this one or any of them?
I don't think he'll do jail time in any of them, even though in this one, he has a mandatory prison sentence if he's convicted, and he very likely will be convicted by a jury that has, 3-1 Republicans over Democrats. But I think he'll get bail pending appeal, and I think the appellate court will reverse the conviction. I think that's true in the New York case as well. He'll get convicted in New York because in New York they'll convict a ham sandwich if his name is Trump. And I think he may get a hung jury or an acquittal in Florida. And District of Columbia, there'll be a conviction too. But those cases will go to the courts of appeals and ultimately the Supreme Court, where I think common sense and the rule of law may very well prevail.
Professor, about 20 seconds or so, does this all go down literally before the November of 2024?
Probably not. The prosecutor in Georgia lied to the American public, to the media, and to her people when she said she's trying to bring this case to trial within 6 months. It's impossible. She knows that. She looked us in the eye and she lied through her teeth. Isn't that ironic? In a case she's bringing, charging Donald Trump with lying, she starts the case by lying, by absolutely lying about 6 months. It can't happen. I've been doing this for 60 years. I've never heard of a case of this complexity being tried within 6 months.
But, stranger things have happened. As your book says, they're out to what? Get Trump. Alan Dershowitz.
Get Trump.
Alan Dershowitz, thank you for joining us.